Hello guys, today on Kids Dream Toys we got Mickey Young Readers Library Volume 1, Mickey's Birthday Surprise. Are you ready, Lottie? Yeah. One day Pluto and Mickey's kitten Molly watched as Mickey busied himself around the kitchen. Mickey set the table. He put a big plate of cookies and another big plate of brownies right in the middle of the table. Then he made a big pitcher of lemonade. We are having guests, Molly thought happily. I wonder who's coming over to visit, thought Pluto. Mickey noticed how Pluto and Molly kept looking at the food on the table. Why don't you two play outside until our guests come? Mickey suggested. He gently shooed them out the door. Outside, Pluto ran over to the mailbox. Molly followed. Pluto saw a box sitting beside the mailbox. He sniffed it, but he couldn't tell what was inside. Molly brushed up against it. It didn't feel like much of anything to her. Pluto decided to bring it to Mickey. Then they would find out what was inside. What does it say? From Grandma Duck. Pluto brought Mickey the box and laid it at Mickey's feet. Why, thank you, Pluto, Mickey exclaimed. Grandma Duck has mailed a birthday present to me. Today is my birthday, you know. Then Mickey tore off the wrapping and the ribbon. What fun I'll have with these, Molly thought as she watched Mickey throw away the paper and ribbon. Then Mickey opened the box. Oh boy, he cried. It's a toy kitten. What a pretty little thing she is too. And just look at that beautiful shiny collar. Mickey saw a little wind-up key on the kitten's side. Maybe it's a music box, Mickey said as he turned the key. He set down the toy down. Sure enough, it began to play a lovely tune. Then, much to Mickey's surprise, the toy kitten began to dance around the room. Around and around it twirled, clapping its paws and meowing softly. She doesn't look happy. Isn't that cute? Mickey exclaimed. Pluto wagged his tail, but the toy kitten scared Molly. She arched her back and fluffed out her fur. Then she let out a loud hiss to let the toy know who was boss. Silly Molly, Mickey said. Don't you know that a toy kitty won't hurt you? When the music stopped, Mickey left the toy kitten on the floor while he dusted the tables and shook out the rug. Pluto forgot about the toy kitten. He went to take a nap. Molly crept over to the toy. She was curious. She wanted to see it dance again. She gave it a pat, but it would not play. It just fell on its side. Mickey rushed over. He picked up the toy. Be careful, Molly, he said with a frown. This toy is very special, and I don't want it to break. Molly felt sad. She hurried over where Pluto was napping. She curled up beside him and waited for the guest. In a few minutes, the doorbell rang. Mickey opened the door. Pluto and Molly leaped from the corner to greet Donald and his nephews. Happy birthday, they say. Come on in, Mickey said happily. Donald followed Mickey. The nephews stayed behind to play with Pluto and Molly. Pluto found his ball and dropped it at Huey's feet. Dewey and Louie giggled as Molly pounced on the string they had brought her. They were all having a fine time until Donald called out, Hey boys, come in here. Mickey has a new toy. With that, Huey, Dewey, and Louie raced over to play with Mickey's toy kitten, leaving Pluto and Molly behind. Daisy and Minnie were the next to arrive. Daisy patted Pluto's head while Minnie picked up the kitten to cuddle. Thump, thump, wagged Pluto's tail happily. Purr, purr, hummed Molly. Suddenly, the toy kitten came up trolling towards them. How cute, cried Minnie. She quickly set Molly on the floor. Then she and Daisy went to play with the new toy. When Goofy arrived, Molly and Pluto were happy. Goofy always brought Molly and Pluto good treats to eat. Pluto wagged his tail hopefully. But when Goofy spotted Mickey's new toy, he headed for the new kitten, forgetting to give Molly and Pluto anything at all. Pluto looked at Molly. Molly looked at Pluto. Their feelings were hurt. We don't need to play with them anyways, Molly seemed to say. She danced over to the wastebasket where Mickey had thrown the wrapping paper and ribbon. Pluto followed. Molly pulled out the ribbon and ran with it. Pluto watched and was puzzled with a grin as Molly played. Soon Molly was all tangled up in the ribbon. and all Pluto could see was Molly's nose, ears, and tail. And there was no way Pluto could untangle Molly. Just then, Mickey noticed a crumbled pile of ribbon. And Molly. "I'll set you free," said Mickey. He gently pulled the ribbon away from her paws and threw it away. "This time, Molly, leave the ribbon alone and you won't get into trouble," Mickey scolded. Molly pretended not to listen to Mickey. She licked her paw as though she hadn't heard a word. After Mickey had gone back to his guest and the toy kitten, Molly went over to Pluto. "Let's play something else," she seemed to say. But Pluto had lost all interest in Molly's way of playing. He gave her a little lick and went over to join the others. After all, Goofy might remember to give Pluto his treat. Molly couldn't believe it. Even her friend Pluto had gone over to the other side. Molly looked around for something else to do. She climbed up on the windowsill and looked outside. To Molly, things seemed more friendly out there. "I know I'm supposed to stay inside," thought Molly, "but no one really cares what I do anyway." With one last look at Pluto, who was busy watching the toy kitten, Molly jumped down from the sill to the backyard. She was gone from the yard in a flash. In the meantime, Pluto was beginning to get tired of the toy kitten's tricks. It did the same things over and over again. Never anything new like Molly did. At the thought of Molly, Pluto looked around. Where was Molly anyways, Pluto wondered. He hunted for her in her favorite places, but he couldn't find her anywhere. Pluto began to worry about Molly. He went over to Mickey and pushed him a bit. He wanted Mickey to know that Molly was missing. But Mickey didn't understand what Pluto was trying to say. He thought Pluto wanted to play with the new kitten. "Sorry, Pluto, you can't play with this kitten. It's a very special toy and it might break. Why don't you go play with Molly instead?" Then Mickey turned back to the toy kitten again. It was no use. Pluto knew he would have to find Molly all on his own. Pluto slipped out of the house. He perked up his ears and he listened very hard. He heard birds. He heard squirrels. But he didn't hear any kitty sounds at all. He poked his nose behind every bush in the yard. He looked and looked. But there was no sign of Molly. She was nowhere to be found. Pluto went into the woods in the back of Mickey's house. The woods had a very tall trees. All of a sudden, Pluto's ears perked up again. He thought he heard a soft meow, meow from far away. That sounds like Molly, Pluto thought. So he followed the sound and the meows got louder and louder. When he heard a meow, meow from above, Pluto looked up. There was Molly. How did Molly get all the way up there? Pluto wondered. And how was she going to get down? It was then Pluto knew he had to get Mickey. "I'll be back with help," Pluto barked. "Stay right there." He ran as fast as he could to Mickey's house. Pluto raced into the house. By this time, all the guests had gone home. Mickey had just put away the leftover birthday cake when Pluto arrived. Pluto jumped up on Mickey and began to whine. "What's wrong, Pluto?" Mickey asked. "Do you want me to follow you somewhere?" Mickey asked. Pluto barked. "Yes," he seemed to say. "Okay, Pluto, you lead the way," Mickey said. Mickey followed as Pluto led him quickly through the woods. When they got to the tree where Molly was stuck, Pluto stared straight at the top of the tree and barked. "Oh my goodness, I don't believe it. Don't worry, little kitty, I'll save you," Mickey called. "Pluto, you stay here with Molly. I'll be back with a ladder in a jiffy." In no time at all, Mickey returned with a ladder. And quick as a wink, Mickey hurried with the ladder and gently took Molly into his arms. When they were both safely back on the ground, Pluto gave Molly a great big kiss. "Good dog, Pluto," Mickey said. "And you're a good friend, too. A better friend than I've been to you and Molly today." Molly gave a tiny meow. She most certainly agreed. When they got back home, Mickey gave Molly a dish of milk. He gave Pluto and Molly each a large piece of birthday cake. Then he put the toy kitten on the table for them to all play with. "You know," said Mickey, patting Molly on the head, "no toy kitten could ever be as special as you are, and having you safe and sound is the best birthday present ever." And Pluto wagged his tail hard, since his mouth was too full to bark. "I agree," is what he seemed to say. Thanks for reading with us today, guys, on Kids Dream Toys. This is Mickey's Birthday Surprise Book. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Kids Dream Toys.